Hi, welcome to everyone who's had a moment out of their busy, busy schedules to join us for another Spirit Health Group webinar. It is so hard to keep up with all the changes, all the transformation. I like to refer to it as transformation. It's more positive than reform that is going on around us in the world of healthcare and hospitals and health systems. And today we will have a brief, but I hope insightful few moments talking about the top 3 ways to outperform your competitor. And, you know, usually at Spirit Health Group, we synthesize a lot from our client base of literally more than 200 clients dedicated to advance the business of women's health. But today, we're actually going to bring in some other resources, including a report commissioned by IBM. So you'll hear about that in a few moments. But the subtitle of our discussion today is Leading Through Connections. So we will go and connect to our very next slide. And it's a fun slide. It's not from the healthcare industry, this quotation. It's actually from the Nobel Peace Prize winning author, Toni Morrison, from a book called Love. And I was reading this recently on vacation, and it jumped out of me as something that I wanted to share in the healthcare marketing world. And it's kind of intriguing and makes you think. If you kill the predators, the weak will eat you alive. So if you kill your top monster competitor, the other little piddlings that are dealing with the monster and the monster's dealing with them will be on your back eating you. And that is so almost antithetical to what we usually think about. Today with me in the room is my colleague here at Spirit Health Group, Juliana Perry, who really runs our division that has to do very much with connecting our businesses to other business in order to advance without killing the predator. So I want you to really take a look at that quote as we move through this presentation. You know, back in the day, and it's been a while, I've been in healthcare a little more than 25 years. I started when I guess was a Girl Scout. No, just kidding. But I've been in healthcare a long time. And those of you that know me know that I kind of live outside the box of standard marketing and tradition. And it's funny because really when I was, kind of indoctrinated into marketing, it was always about go after the jugular of your largest competitor. Go and hang on and do it. And my goodness, in the past 25 years, times have really changed. And here's some powerful lessons. This is lessons learned from the CEO C-suite studies that IBM commissions yearly from 2012. And I asked the team to put the cover on because it reminds me of the Candyland game. It's fun, but it's about connectivity, and it's not all about closing circles and loops. And you know what? Some of the connections go out there and dangle, some don't. It's a very lovely, I think, concept cover, but what we're talking about and what we're trying to learn a little bit from is the IBM experience. Now, they went ahead and did a global research study, 64 countries, 1,709 CEOs, and over 18 industries. Now, the healthcare provider industry, it doesn't appear to have been one of it, but medical device and pharma certainly were included. So this is an interesting and very comprehensive study. And I want to share with you, and it's available. We're going to, at the end, ask you could just go ahead and email us, and we will send you the link. But the aha moments that we kind of extracted from it include some really interesting points. It is now a continuous feedback world. My goodness, it is loud. It is just, the volume is up on most days too high. Everyone is telling you what they think. You know, you want to go buy a lipstick. It's not as simple as walking into Macy's and buying a lipstick. You go online. You read all your consumer reviews. You go to cosmetics.com. It's everybody's providing feedback, from a 90-year-old woman in an assisted living facility to, a 10-year-old who is just discovering the joys of lipstick. continuous feedback everywhere, and that's something that's new to us. It's just listening and trying to figure out what it all means. The next aha moment is also a very important one, and that is, okay, give me 1 second here. Having a little bit of difficulty. Here we go. Sorry about that. The next is, and connecting with keys on the keyboard drives the presentation too. Thank you, Juliana. Connections drive business. You know, when you read Marketing 101 textbooks, even 10 years ago, when I was still teaching, it was not about connections driving business. If you remember, it was about consumer need driving business and consumer perception of need driving business. And in healthcare, I think we still think that. You know, I need to have my knee replaced. Therefore, I'm going to look for a business that does good knee surgery and has a great surgeon, orthopedic surgeon. Kind of not like that, even though we wanted to, and it's what we're most accustomed to. Not that. Connections driving business these days. And then lastly, I believe the aha is nimbleness. I love that word. Jack be nimble, Jack be quick is required. You need to get out of the frying pan quickly. You need to jump over the flame and get to the leadership position. Aha. So those are 3 big ones: continuous feedback, connectivity, and nimbleness. Uh-oh. It's the antithesis to aha. Let's think about the first one. Continuous feedback. U.S. hospitals, traditionally, guys, very one-way communication. We have a brand, we have doctors, we have services, we get information out about it. We send flyers, we send magazines, we do billboards, we do advertising, we communicate, and we do it very well. I do it great. I'm sure many on the phone do it better. But it really is one way. As we look at our more than, like I said, 200 clients, and though, you know, I would say about a third are getting involved with social media, no, my friends, very one way. Here's our Facebook. Here's the news of the week. Here are the events that we're doing. Here's a patient. It's me, giving the information about me to you. In hospitals, we survey when a person was a patient, or when they come to an event, we get their opinion. But man, oh man, in 2013, that is not communication to the average consumer. And not just to the 12-year-old girl chewing gum on the street, you know. It's also to the 55-year-old savvy woman sitting at home on her laptop. So, one-way communication in hospitals. What about our next connections drive business in the world of U.S. hospitals. We still believe that referrals drive business. And that means consumer has a knee. I'm going to go back to my example of the knee, right? The need for the knee. And we just believe the doctor will send them to us because we're friends with the doctor. We do great things with the doctor. He knows how good our surgical suite is. That's what we think, okay? So this is how we think we're going to be the leader. And then the third point, nimbleness. Our Jack B. Nimble is really a giant, and he has arthritis, and he moves like, you know, like you wouldn't be able to imagine. He lumbers. So we've got these challenges as hospitals. You know, we're used to unidimensional communication. We're used to thinking that consumer need and doctor need is what makes us money. And then lastly, we have not been allowed to move quickly. There are too many regulations. There are too many rules. We can get sued. It's a big, big world of don't move quickly. And none of those things contribute to being the best leader in the business in your community. So what we did is we extrapolated a little bit from the IBM report, and then we thought about our own clients and tried to synthesize in this presentation some takeaways. Connections in the future of U.S. healthcare, once again, 3 points for us to remember. To outperform your competitor, starting in January 2013, look at these 3 bullets. Empower your staff, your customers, and providers through values. And we're going to talk about this in just a moment. Through values. Engage your customers as unique individuals. Not just unique, but engage is the important bolded word here. And then lastly, amplify innovation with partnership. So we've got values, engaging, and partnership. And I'm going to start with the values and then turn it over to Juliana to talk about engagement. A couple things to remember about values. Values are not missions. You know, a couple of years ago, I had a wonderful grad student who was working for me as a fellow, and I asked her to find 100 hospitals and to find out what their mission statements were. And out of those 100 hospitals, there were like 5 that were repeated over and over again. Building healthy communities, because our staff cares. Just over and over again, beautiful missions, community-based, sweet, compassionate was mentioned like 60% of the time. But those really aren't values. Values to the consumer today are visible and measurable. Look at something like Southwest Airlines. Their values of having fun on the job are visible. Those annoying jokes you know you're going to get, you can count them, and they're funny in the end. Even if I'm in a bad mood and I get on that plane, I know I can expect humor. And you know what's crazy? Not canned humor. Everyone comes up with their own jokes, and I have since actually had the privilege of listening to the CEO of Southwest, who they reward innovative jokes. They just love it. Everybody has to come up with their own shtick. Values are visible. To the community, they know what you're about, and they can measure them. Now, values also drive the promise. Go back to that Southwest example. They promise you a better time on Southwest than on other airlines. What do you promise your community? This is always tricky, and I have a great job at my company. I get to be called the Chief Vision Officer as well as the President. And in that role, I get to go to clients and just have fun. And one of the things I get to do is work on them with their mission, values, and promise. And promise always holds people up. Because when you make a promise, you got to keep it, and it's got to be tangible. I'm going to tell a quick story here, and this is from one of my clients, a vice president at a California hospital who had some fused bones in her neck. And she went to the top orthopedic surgeon in her own system and talked to him and was scared. You know, it's a lot of pain and a lot of recovery, and there's really no guarantee that it's going to work. So she was scared, and a friend of hers said, I want you to go to this other surgeon, neurologist, neurosurgeon at another facility. And she said, yeah, you know, I will, just a second opinion. And she went, and she knew it was an expensive, revenue-generating surgery. And she made the excuse up that she just really didn't want to have surgery around her own staff, and she went to the competitor. When push came to shove, at this meeting that we had with her CEO in the room, and we were playing around with the concept of promise, she said, I chose that neurosurgeon because he looked me in the eye and promised me that he would do the very best for me personally so that I had less pain after the surgery than I do now. He did not guarantee me anything over the other surgeon, but he made a personal promise to do his very best. And I believed him in that moment. What a powerful statement. I wanted to share that anecdote because it sticks with me always. So does your hospital have a promise? Does it promise efficiency? Does it promise always to answer questions? Does it promise navigation with humanity and compassion? Does it promise an experience of wellness that everyone who walks through that door, whether they're in late-stage cancer or having a baby, feel like life is acknowledged in that hospital? These are all examples of hospitals that I've worked with who have come up with promises that mean something. Because you know why? Not because it's nice and soft and a wonderful thing to do on a Friday afternoon, but promises drive engagement. They make people believe you, and people who trust and believe you give you their business. That has not changed in 2013. It was the same as in Paris in the 17th century. If people trust you, if people believe in you, they will give you their money and hope for a good outcome. So promise drives engagement and profit. I'd like to turn it over now to Juliana Perry to talk about engagement.
Thanks, Tanya. So engagement. first of all, engagement is not advertising. You need to understand your users or your clients' habits and behaviors to properly and effectively tailor your messages to them. Engagement educates, it engenders trust, and it can be measured. You have to think about the best messaging to engage them and the best ways to measure your success. Engagement brands you as a thought leader. You are the one in the podium. You are the ones delivering important messaging to them. They want to hear from you. Now, ask yourself, is your hospital engaging, or are they really just advertising and doing that one-way communication that Tanya mentioned earlier? And lastly, engagement delivers business. Once you have that person in the podium giving you this important information, this promise, this education content, you are now an educated patient, client, consumer, which is the best type of consumer. So at the end, engagement does deliver business. Now, here's some of the rules of engagement. Again, know your audience. What is the best way to reach them? What type of information do they find most valuable? Is it a video? Is it an email? Is it a postcard? In that communication, you have to think about what's in it for them. We've always heard what's in it for me. In this case, you have to put yourself in your client's or your patient's shoes. What's in it for them? What is going to be the most engaging? How will you help them? And how will they benefit from connecting with you? You want to educate them. You want to provide information that educates them about issues that you can help with. You want to have clear, concise, consistent communication to build your credibility and to position yourself as an actual thought leader. And lastly, you want to evaluate and adjust. You need to measure your results. You need to analyze everything from open rates to shares through social media or forwarding your emails to their other colleagues or family members. Overall engagement needs to be measured, and you need to adjust as needed. So back to the be nimble. If you really like emails, but you see that Friday emails aren't doing as well as your Tuesday videos, then you need to be nimble and adjust to the videos. Frequency is extremely important, as important as the message that you are providing as well. You want to make sure you touch them enough that you are in their minds, but you do not want to spam them and get too in touch with them. Now, here's a sample of a digital communication strategy that has been extremely successful in this industry with clients such as Hopkins, Duke, and even Florida Hospital. It will allow you to educate through webinars, white papers, or case studies, depending on what it is exactly that you want to get across, email announcements, and the all-important social media, which truly amplifies all of your messages to further expand and grow your audience. So these are some of the examples, again, of different ways you can communicate with your clients without it being repetitive, but in a way that allows you to slowly drip in the messaging that you want to provide and help you make the case on why you are a solution to their needs. With that, I will turn it back to Tanya for partnerships.
I always love listening to Juliana because you break down like crazy ideas into measurable components. The rules of engagement are really important. Engagement, everyone, especially as women and we always think about marriage. And the what's in it for them is kind of fascinating. I heard a speaker once talk about it. You know, when you first get engaged and you first get married, it's all about what's in it for the other person. What can I do to make their life easier? What's in it for them? When you start asking the question, what's in it for me, you're heading to divorce court. And it's funny, I think it's the same way with us in healthcare. You know, we brand a new service, and when we brand a new service, it's always about what's in it for our community. It's convenient, it's the best doctors, it's the new equipment. After that polish wears off, it's the doctors are in, what's in it for me? How many more patients can I get? How can we generate more revenues? What's in it for us, us, us? And so we need to be really, really careful of that. That's great. Thank you very much. The last bit of discussion that the CEO IBM Commissioned report really stressed is that we have to stop being afraid of partnerships, that the only way in today's very expensive environment that we're going to get ahead is by partnering with organizations that really elevate us and expand us in ways that we can't afford to do on our own. I do not want to talk about ACOs here. I just found out the wonderful fact, or not so wonderful fact, depending on what side of the fence you're sitting on, that ACOs are only about, in planning, at about 17% of U.S. hospitals. And while, you know, affordable care and all the other reform measures are here to stay and will hopefully really reduce redundancy and reduce costs, this whole idea of ACOs, of forced partnerships for economic reasons, just doesn't have a whole lot of buzz for most people. However, we need to think about partnerships as innovation, as the CEO report asked us to. Partnerships are not joint ventures. It's not a way for each side to make more money. That's not what a partnership really is. It's not, you know, look at human partnerships. It's not why we get married. You know, partnerships are not joint ventures. Instead, partnerships innovate, create something new, and they elevate each member of that partnership. That bullet alone, also out of IBM, to me was worth your time on this phone call. Look at the partnerships at your hospital, partnerships in your life. Do they create something new? Are they innovative? And do they elevate your hospital? Not, reconsider them. It's a waste of time. Partnerships extend your reach. They get you beyond yourself in a more efficient way. They, once again, elevate you in a way that you can do more. And then sit down and really ask yourself, I mean, these three areas of values and engagement and partnerships can be a really fun, executive session. And actually, I'm happy to facilitate that executive session. I love doing this work. Does your hospital have partnerships for innovation? And I bet you do. And it's funny because I bet you those are some of the partnerships that can be brought to the surface and be the best thing that your hospital has ever promoted. But I bet you right now they're under the radar, because the ones that tend to rise are the joint ventures that have huge capital amounts around them and investors. And so think about that. And lastly, innovation, as derived by partnerships or not, is your insurance against failure. Your insurance against a future that is just continually requiring change and transformation. I would, at the sake of being transparent, right, that's the whole world of healthcare, I loved the IBM report because it plays into who Spirit Health Group is. Here are the three core value propositions of this wonderful team that I work on every day of 45 human beings in healthcare. The first one that we do for innovation is Spirit of Women, and many of you are on the phone are Spirit of Women clients. And so you know we generate value as a network of women's health hospitals to influence financial growth and community credibility. There are a lot of men in our group, and before we put this on a recording, we will fix that. But it's women's health hospitals. So we generate value as a network. Then our heart caring. This is a real important one. It delivers immediate CV revenues through fresh partnerships between hospitals and primary care, physicians, internists, primary care, family practitioners, as well as OBGYNs. A lot of heart caring hospitals on the phone as well. And lastly, and this is a real, I just want to say, explosive growth area for us right now, and that is Juliana represents, is MX.com. We are helping hospitals engage individual customers in a sustained conversation to educate, build hospital credibility, and to drive them to your clinical services. This isn't Facebook. This isn't just social media. This is an incredible, in-depth program that really gets consumers to see you in a different way in all of the multimedia access points that they have that you're capable of contributing to. So those are our partnerships. I just want to end, I think, with a sweet spot. You know, that little purple triangle in there is our sweet spot for hospitals. And really, once again, if nothing else, if you could just print out this slide, and we're happy to get you this presentation as well, and take the sweet spot, take the hospitals out, and put your hospital name in, and make this a worksheet. What's the value that you're offering your community? What's the promise? How do you engage each and every person that you can to engender trust? And I just want to put a little caveat on here. Engaging people aren't like finding out what their age group is and send them a cover of a magazine that has an older woman or a younger woman with a baby. That's not engagement. I always say this. If you want to earn the respect and business of a patient, you make sure you have a personal interaction and you learn something about them personally. Learn something about that person personally that doesn't make them fall into a category or group. And if you can make sure that they feel seen as a unique entity, that you are listening to them, that you know them, you will have that business for life. And that is where the whole legend, I guess it's an urban myth of if a woman has a baby at your hospital, she'll be with you for life. That doesn't exactly pan out, but the root of it is if she has a baby, talk about a something unique being creative. You know that baby was born. In many instances, you have a birth certificate record of the child's name. You know something vitally important to the individual, and you hope that because of that moment, they will stick with you. You need more of that without babies being born. And lastly, evaluate and, if necessary, create partnerships for innovation. I am, once again, Tanya Abreu, and Juliana's with me as well. And there's a couple ways you can get in touch with us. And I would love if you just send me an email, TABREU, that's TABREU @spiritofwomen.com. Ask for the link to this, although I think it will be put up on the website. But also if you want the link to the Leading Through Connections IBM report, 561-544-2034 will get you to our development manager, Dana, who can get you to Juliana or to myself to talk about anything here or to respond to any of your questions or concerns about content provided. Juliana, would you like to add anything?
I want to thank everyone for their time and for taking really the time to learn more about leading through connections and improving their hospitals. We hope this was worthwhile, and we hope to hear from you about any feedback or any questions that we could help you with.
And have the most successful 2013 ever, personally and professionally. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.